This is Terms of Reference. I'm your host, Stephen Laddick. Rakesh Nair is an anti-human trafficking crusader and General Secretary of Manav Seva Sansthan, an organization that works in the Indo-Nepal border corridor, an area notorious for human trafficking. Over the past 13 years, Rakesh has been instrumental in creating the nationally and internationally acknowledged cross-border transit model called the Lifeguard Center, a unique integrated model of partnership between Seva and the Border Army to eliminate human trafficking. The LGC has been successful in rescuing more than 10,500 apparent victims of human trafficking and has engaged with more than 150,000 cross-border migrants on issues of safe and informed migration. Under his co-leadership, Seva and the LGC campaign have received multiple awards and honors, including the Intercultural Innovation Award in 2014, the NGO Award from the Indian Ministry of Home Affairs in 2012, the International Impact Award in 2010, the Global Innovation Award in 2008 from the World Bank, and the Godfrey Phillips National Bravery Award. I spoke with Rakesh in Mumbai. Hello, Rakesh. Thank you so much for being on the Terms of Reference podcast today.
Thank you, Stephen, and it's nice talking to you.
We have a wonderful connection. Where am I calling you today? Where are you sitting?
I am in Mumbai, India.
In Mumbai, India. Great. Rakesh, tell me about Seva, the organization you work for. Tell me about its history, how it started, and what your role is at the organization.
Manav Seva is an NGO which is working in North India for over 2 decades. It was founded by Sri Tripathi. He was a union leader and a teacher also. He and some of his associates, they formed an informal coalition where they would like to work with farmers and labor workers. So that's how this organization came into. And later on, in 1988, it got registered as an NGO in Government of India. MSS is working on issues like human trafficking and migration, poverty and food insecurity, social inclusion, sustainable agriculture, health and nutrition, and child protection. I am the General Secretary of the organization. Mainly, I'm responsible for strategy development, that means for programs as well as an institution as a whole. I do grant writing, donor relationships and networking, and I also involve in policy lobbying and networking.
So you have a pretty broad portfolio. The organization has a pretty broad portfolio. Mm-hmm. How do you divide your time or divide the organization's time between each of those areas? Do you find that they overlap? Do you have common programs between them, or are they distinct silos of activity?
Yeah, sometimes it depends upon the program. For example, when we talk about social inclusion, so it includes everything. It includes health, it includes education, it includes entitlement, it includes livelihood. We have different structures. For example, the organization, we have different structures where there are different program officers who deal with different issues. For every issue, there is a program officer, and there are staffs at the ground level. So this is how the program is implemented.
And who determines, or how do you go about determining what programs you are going after? There's following the money, or there is identifying a problem and then starting a program and then seeking funding for it. What's your normal mode of operation for identifying a problem?
MSS is working in Uttar Pradesh in the Indo-Nepal border region. So the 1,700 kilometer is our working area. And what we do is that through participatory analysis, we identify issues which are need-based at the local level. And once we identify these issues, then we sit with the community to decide what can be done. It's a participatory process through which we decide the strategy, what should be done. And then we take the strategy to different donors. And if the donor is interested in it, then the partnership goes to the next stage of proposal writing and then contract and then implementation.
You just said that you work across 1,700 kilometers.
Yeah.
How do you, that's a massive amount of territory to cover. How many staff do you have? How are you managing your time across this huge border?
We have around 300 staffs. MSS directly works in Uttar Pradesh, but we work in other states, like three more states like Bihar, West Bengal, Uttarakhand. We work with our partners. That's how we cover the 1,700 kilometer border. It's basically through partners and networks.
So you've built this network, this network out. You work with partners, and I'm going to guess that you've followed a traditional funding path of applying for funding, or with the communities, maybe you've raised some funds locally. Is there a way that do you see that continuing in the future, or is there a way that you're innovating or moving more towards a social enterprise model to sustain your organizations, sustain your funding?
For past 10 years, actually, we were basically looking after institutional funding. But since a couple of years, we have started to look into sustainability of the organization. For example, now we are running 2 schools through which we generate funds.
Wow! Tell me about that. What does that mean? You're running them. You started the school and you're basically finding it through tuition, or?
Actually, we have started a commercial school at the urban level, which was funded by the organization itself, and then the amount we get, the resources we generate through this school, we put these resources at the rural level. So once we had this urban school, through the resources, we have developed a rural school through which we are ensuring access of education to the rural children with the same kind of quality education.
Give me an example about how that works. So be more specific about, you started this urban school and then you use the resources in a rural setting. Give me a story, or give me an example of how that actually works.
We have an urban school where it works like an urban school with high quality education, and the fees generated are very high for each school's going student. And once these fees are collected, after 1 year, then we approached Japan Embassy, and Japan Embassy were very helpful in constructing the rural school. And what we are doing is that the amount generated through the urban school is pulled into the rural school, where students are given free education. For example, students from villages nearby, they come to that school and they are provided free education. And what we have done is that we also give admission to children from good families, also rich families, so that we can generate more resource for the particular rural school.
How do people view this, your rural school and your urban school? Do they know when they're sending their children to the urban school that this is a socially driven enterprise and that it's going, that funds are going there, and they make that choice?
Yeah. It's well known in our region that we are a social organization, and most of our work, the main motto of work is to expand the access to education in other communities. So they willingly help us in doing this, and even the students from the urban school, sometimes they go to the rural school and they interact with children. So it creates a kind of bonding between children from different locations.
What about talent? You said you have about 300 people that work for you. Are they all local, people local to their region, or? Go ahead, sir.
And I have another example. Sorry.
Oh, please, yeah, tell me.
I have another example, like in social inclusion program, we are working with an indigenous community which is called Musaha. Basically, the name comes from they eat rat, so that's called Musaha. For 3 years, we worked with them, and the 4th year, we have developed a sustainable plan for the project. Like the Musaha communities, they are formed into a group called CBOs, community-based organization, and the products, that means they are trained in agriculture, they are trained in other livelihood enterprises, and the products from the Musaha community is directly sold at an outlet in a city. It's a kind of producer company, a new retail of the producers, so that we are trying to avoid the middlemen as well as the other intermediaries, so that the profit goes into the community and the producer gets a good amount of money for the produce.
And so the outlet, the retail outlet in the urban part of the community, is it only stocked with the Musaha products, or is it branded in that way?
The company is owned by Musaha. The governing board has 20 Musaha and one MSS representative. So this is how the structure is. And then through the outlet, we sell Musaha products as well as the branded products. So that it's kind of a family shopping center where you get all products. So that's how we have developed it. And what we do is that we have collection points at different village level. The products from Musar comes to that collection point, and from that collection point, we purchase all this. That means the company purchases it. The producers are given money at the collection point, the best price at the local level. We give them the best price at the local level, and then these products come into the city at the outlet. Then we sell it at the particular price at the city level. So that's how we generate profit. And through this profit, around 10% of the profit is again sent back into the community. Like we have CBOs, those CBOs are given 1 to 2% so that they can do some sort of development programs in the community. So this is a kind of ensuring sustainability of funding the community project.
It seems like a really standard model, but it sounds like you've made it successful. How long has the Musaha project been going on?
That means the company is 3 years old and the project is around 5 years old.
And do you find in the urban center that only Musaha people will come to the retail store to purchase things, or are people from all classes and all parts of society?
No, it's not Musa, because Musa they are concentrated in a remote location. So the customers are from the city locations.
And do they have any idea that they're helping the Musaha?
Yeah, because in the outlet, in every product, it's written that if you purchase this product, this percentage of amount goes into education of Musa children, goes into health of women. So it's written and displayed in every product as well as inside the outlet.
Wow, that's pretty cool. What kind of, give me an example, what kind of products are they? You said agriculture products and those kinds of things, but any specific examples?
Like vegetables, pulses, cereals, candle, many of these stuffs. For example, turmeric, they are produced a lot at the village level where Muslims are there. But in future, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to get support for installing grinding machines at the village level so that we can have a product of our own which will be standardized and then sold at the retail store. Right now, we are having brands from different companies. In future, we'll have our own brand. So this is what we are planning for the outlet.
And give me a sense of what portion of your business the retail outlet sustains. Is it only a portion of your work with the Musaha? Is it, do you make enough at the retail outlet to fund other parts of Seva?
Right now, it's only a part of Musa project because it's just started. And in future, I think when we expand the outlet in different locations, then I think it will be like CSR project. And then it can support different initiatives in and around the project area.
The question I was going to ask earlier, before you took us down that awesome path for the Musaha, was who works for you? You said you have about 300 staff. How do you find this talent? The people listening to the podcast, the most of the audience are from the Western world. Their expectation is that they're going to have a master's degree and go to a university, and sort of that's their entry level into as an aid professional or a humanitarian professional. What about your staff? Is that also what you find, or what do your local staff look like, and what are the requirements that they have when you're looking for them?
Like, for example, if you are looking at the community level staff, at the village level, then we recruit from the village itself. For example, project coordinator, they are professionals. For example, they are done masters in social work. They have lots of experience working in different regions. If it's a project director, then we look at PhDs. The person like me, I have done my master's in environment and social work. So organization recruits staff as per the positions. For example, like I said, if the position is a community worker, then it's from within the community. They might be they are secondary high school students or something like that. But if they are in the project manager level, then they are professionally qualified people from different regions of the country.
What about you? You're the general director or the general executive secretary of this organization. How did you find your way into aid work? Was this always a passion that you knew you were going to do, or was there some happenstance that brought you to this work?
During my school days, we had this social service day every week. During this day, I used to visit slums. I used to visit poor people colonies to teach children, then to do sanitation work there. So my first point of realization of these issues came when I was a child in a school. During these events, for 3-4 years, we had this program, and during this activity, I really realized the problems, the hardship faced by children, the families, the kind of environment they live. So I think these programs made me realize that there is something other than professional careers there which I should look into. Actually, my parents wanted me to do medicine, to be a doctor, but
so they're happy.
But I don't know. That means even I could have done social work being a doctor, but I thought I will do social work, bachelor in social work. Then I did masters in social work. After my post graduation, then I joined an NGO which works in a very remote location in Himalayan region. So that means I started my point in a Himalayan region, remotest region of India. My ambition is to work for NGOs who are working in remote locations. And that's how I came into MSS, because even MSS works in a very remote location in a border region.
And how much time do you spend out in the remote regions? You're in Mumbai right now, but are you mostly on the road?
Yeah, every month I used to travel to the border regions because being a grant writer, being a strategist, I had to be in the field a lot. So every month I used to go there. I have lots of conversations with donors at the international level, through Skype, through email. Yeah.
How do you, as an organization, measure the success of your projects? What are the indicators you're using, or are they radically different, across all of your projects, or what type of systems do you use?
Actually, across the project, we have a log frame. For each and every project, we have a log frame, and for example, each log frame will give a whole scenario of the project. For example, what is the impact we are looking at? What is the outcome, what is the output, and what are activities we are going to do. And each of these variables have an indicator. It is quantitative as well as qualitative. Using this log frame, we analyze a project. For example, we have start line surveys and end line surveys. And through these surveys, we then do a comparative analysis. What was the situation 3 years back? And after the completion of the project, what is the situation? So this is how we come with the exact result we have achieved. And for impact, for example, since we are working in a specific location for a long time, so usually impact takes around 3, 4, 5 years. So what we do is that since we are already there, we work there. So we'll try to see what is the impact after 3 years or 4 years of a project.
And have you ever, this is the as we say, the elephant in the room. Have you ever worked on a problem, or worked in a community, or worked in a region for a couple of years or several years, and found that, hey, you know what, our work here is done. We either need to move on to a new problem or a new region, and we've accomplished our goal.
Yeah. For example, this Musa project, we have been working for 4 years there, and it's a one district project. Around we work with around 20,000 households, and after 4 years we realized that our goal was to develop competence at the community level, to raise awareness and so that the community themselves raise a voice for the rights for right to entitlement, right to livelihood, right to education, right to health. So right now, after 4 years, the community-based organizations are so strong that MSs don't want to work there because the community organizations are doing what we are doing. So, and these community organizations has been registered as an NGO also, so that they can get funds from the government to work at the ground level. And now what we have done is that we are replicating the same strategy in a different district. So this is how we work. That means we work for 3-4 years, and then we develop a model, we demonstrate that model, and then we document and replicate it so that the government as well as other organizations can use that model to replicate in other locations also.
That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
What about sort of two fun questions for you? One, you've literally probably touched the lives of tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people. You must have some stories about surprising events or things that you didn't expect to happen, or unintended outcomes of a project. Is there a story that comes to mind for you about a project you were working on the border or in a community, and you expected something to happen, but something completely different happened?
Not completely different. In some project, for example, in the trafficking project, we used to focus on human trafficking. But during our work in the border areas, suddenly we came to know that the apparent victims of trafficking are also used as smugglers for drugs. Once we were engaging with the apparent victim, and we found lots of drugs in the bags, and it was very astonishing to see that this can also happen. That means they are double vulnerable. That means they are also victim of trafficking as well as they are used as drug carriers. So that's one of the important thing which we noticed in a project, which was completely different than what we expected. So, and the other thing was, in our project with Musa, we focused on livelihood, we focused on their entitlements, we focused on their capacity. But what happened is suddenly these community-based organizations looked into other issues also. Like, for example, alcohol. There is lots of alcohol problem in the region. So women took this effort to stop alcohols in the particular areas. So this outcome of a project which our log frame didn't have it.
What about a time when you completely failed? Can you think of while you've been with the organization, where you've tried to implement a project or a particular initiative and it just hasn't worked? And what did you do to either recover from it or adjust the program in a way so that it did become successful?
Yeah, in few projects, for example, we had a street children project where we had to relocate the street children into a different location. For example, we worked with railway children, and we had to relocate these railway children to a different location where they'll be given food, shelter, education, and de-drug addiction and all these activities. But what we found that in the initial stages, we found that these children were not cooperative, and they didn't want to stay there. They wanted to go back into the particular railway station. And what we done is that we found that it's very difficult to keep them in the shelter home. So what we did then we thought, okay, that's fine. What we'll do is that we'll take this activity within there where they stay. For example, a child is staying in a railway platform. We take education right into that area where the child lives. For example, there are many times when trains don't come. So during that time, these children they sit in the platform and while away that time. So we use that time to educate children. So this is how we develop the the rapport with children. And later on, when these children got confidence about us, then we relocated the children into the shelter home. So that's how this whole project came into. And now the Japan embassy has given us funds to construct a permanent shelter home there. And now the children are willing to stay there, and they will be given education, vocational skills, so that they can earn a livelihood, a respectable life in the community.
Excellent. A great turnaround story.
Yeah.
I'd like to focus for the last part of our interview here on the challenges that you see going forward for your organization and for community work, social enterprise in general. What's the biggest challenge you think MSS is going to be facing over the next 5 years regarding funding, regarding human resources, regarding, keeping and sustaining your organization?
One of the major challenges is funding, because it's very difficult to get institutional funding. And for example, to do away with this challenge, what we are doing is that we are trying to have resource generation at the local level, like through sponsorships, through government agencies, through payroll in industries. We are also planning to have an entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship in almost all the project concepts, so that we have activities that can generate fund, and these funds can be used for our future projects also. The other challenge is about climate change. It's a big challenge in India, especially in our region, because there are lots of floods from Nepal, and that's one of the challenge which we have to cope with. And we are trying to develop strategies on climate change also, because climate change is something new to us. We are trying to develop a strategy so that we can work on disaster risk reduction as well as humanitarian aid.
That's you caught me off guard with that one, even though it's now that you've mentioned it, it's obvious, the climate change. Do you think that that's going to change the focus of your programming specifically, or?
No, it's not going to change the focus, but a component of every project will have a disaster risk reduction strategy also.
How is technology changing your business or changing your organization over the last 5 years? But looking forward, do you find that your communities now are smartphone enabled and are tech savvy, or have they not reached that point yet?
No, in India, I think most of the families have a mobile. It's not a smartphone, but a normal mobile. In future, like for example, in health, there are lots of apps coming out through which we can directly get in touch with client through the phone, like sending messages about immunization. So it can be messaged through phone. So yeah, in coming years, I think we'll be doing this, what I call IT components into our project, so that we bring in more technology into that project activity.
It spurred another question just off the top of my head. You're sitting in Mumbai, where you are focused on social work and social inclusion, but I'm sure just down the street somewhere, I think you told me a story once of a 100-story building that's owned by one person. So there's a lot of wealth there as well. Are you able to cross that border or cross that fence and go to those types of funding outlets to have a conversation about how they can help build the infrastructure and build the, continue to grow these programs for you, or does that not happen very often?
Yeah, well, one of my main aim coming into Mumbai was to pull in the corporates into a program. I have lots of meetings with corporates in Mumbai, but the problem is most of the corporates, they want to work in a location where the company is near to that particular region. For example, a corporate in Mumbai wants to work in Mumbai so that staffs in the corporate, they also can join the project actions. So since our NGO is working in a remote location, many of the corporates whom I met, though they were very interested with the projects, but since they have a policy that it should be very near to them. As of now, I have not got any breakthrough with the corporates, but I hope that since BMW has awarded us, so that's one of the positive thing for MSS. With the appreciation from BMW, I think some corporates might think of supporting MSS activity, but still it's very unlikely, because most the policy is that they would like to get in touch with the project. They want to be in the project, so they would like projects which are very near to their office or any in-plant locations. So it's a disadvantage for MSS because there is no industrialization in our project area. So there is no industries around there. So, for example, a Reliance industry in Mumbai, if they go and work in a remote location, they don't get the visibility as they can get in metro cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai. So disadvantage as well as a challenge for MSS because corporates have to do community social services. At least 10 to 15% of the profit has to be given to community. But still, it's a challenge to tap these resources given the policy and their limitations also.
Are there any other specific challenges that that your organization specifically faces beyond climate change and the obvious funding challenges that you think you're going to be facing over the next 5 years? Is mobility of people? Is it more movement of people, or any other thought process like that?
Yeah, human trafficking, migration is a challenge, and it will be a challenge for us in coming many years because, as you can see, that due to poverty in Nepal as well as in India, there is huge influx of migrants. And these migrants are unskilled and semi-skilled youths. So that means they are ready to go anywhere for any kind of work. So that's a great challenge we'll be having. And since the border is around 1,700 kilometers, so to cover whole border is a challenge because it requires lots of resources, and there is no a single donor who can support a whole area. So it's one of the challenge to keep up funding for the trafficking program. We run around 13 facilitation centers in the border, which requires a huge resources. So that's one of a major challenge for MSS in coming years to sustain the activity through partnership with government, because Government of India is taking a lot of efforts in combating human trafficking. And I think if we can partner with government, then the campaign against human trafficking can be sustainable for quite a long time.
Rakesh, I have one final question for you, and it's something that we ask everyone on the Terms of Reference podcast.
Yeah.
You've been in this sector for your entire career. You've been successful. You have a successful organization. What critical advice would you give to someone either in India or anywhere in the world listening to this right now about how to be successful as a social worker or as a development or humanitarian aid worker? Are there critical skills that you need? Are there particular career choices you need to make in order to be successful?
You need a particular education, like for example in India it's masters in social work and master in business administration. Like that, you need a specific skill. But my experience says that if you want to be success in a development sector, you should have the courage to dream, to have a positive dream for your world. You should have the courage to dream a different world, because it is very necessary and it's a basic step for a meaningful professional intervention. Because if you don't dream of a different society, then you'll not be able to do justice to your work.
Rakesh, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
You've been listening to the Terms of Reference podcast from Aidpreneur.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes.